Hey everyone, today we're diving into the world of poetry. And I know, for some of us, poetry can seem a little complicated, or maybe even a bit old-fashioned. But I think you'll be surprised to find out just how powerful and accessible it really is.
You know that feeling, right? When you're just bursting with an emotion, joy or grief or awe, and you just can't seem to find the words to capture it. Well, that's exactly where poetry lives. It gives us a language for the things that are hardest to say. So, what is this magic exactly? How does poetry actually work? In this first part, we're going to pull back the curtain and see what makes it such a special and powerful way to communicate.
At its core, this is what it's all about. See, poetry isn't just about what the words mean. It's about how they sound, how they feel, how they look on the page. Every single word is picked for a reason to create a very specific experience just for you.
To really get what's going on, we need to understand the blueprint, Think of it like a poet's toolkit. Once you know the basic tools they're using, you can see exactly how they build these amazing little worlds of words.
All right, here's a quick look at the 5 key tools we're going to talk about: line, stanza, rhyme, repetition, and mood. These are pretty much the fundamental building blocks of any poem. So let's break them down one by one.
First up is the line. It's the most basic piece of a poem. A single line, like "the rain falls soft asleep," can paint a whole picture and create a feeling all on its own. And where a poet decides to end a line, that's a huge deal. It controls the whole rhythm of the poem.
Now you group those lines together and you get a stanza. The easiest way to think about a stanza is that it's basically a paragraph for a poem. It's how poets organize their ideas and images to give the poem its shape and structure. Ah, rhyme. This is probably the one you know best. When words sound alike, like day and play. It gives poetry that musical quality that makes it so catchy and memorable. It's a great way to tie ideas together.
Repetition is another really powerful tool. When a poet uses a word or a whole phrase over and over, like run, 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 they're doing it on purpose. It creates emphasis, builds a rhythm, and really hammers home a specific idea.
And finally, all of these tools, the words, the rhythm, the images, they all work together to create the mood. This is the big one. It's the overall feeling the poem gives you, the reader. Is it happy? Sad? Is it peaceful? The mood is the emotional heart of the poem. Okay, so now that we know the basic tools, let's put on our poet's eyes and see them in action. We're going to read a short poem together and see if we can spot how the poet is using these elements to create something special. Okay, this poem is called First Light. Just take a second, read it through, let the words and the images just kind of wash over you before we start to pick it apart. All right, let's dig in. Looking at it with our new toolkit, what jumps out at you? What choices did the poet make to capture that feeling of a new day starting?
So you can see it's really short, right? Just 7 lines, which gives it this quiet, simple feeling, and the mood is definitely peaceful. Words like blushes pink and quiet prayers, and that image of the world exhaling. Wow. It all comes together to create this theme of hope and new beginnings. It just goes to show you how a few simple choices can create a really powerful message.
This ability to say so much with so little. It's a huge reason why poetry has always been connected to spirituality and matters of the heart. Let's explore that a little bit.
This verse from the Psalms really gets the heart of it, doesn't it? It's about choosing our words with care and intention. And that's exactly what poetry is. It's a practice in using language meaningfully.
And here's a cool fact. A huge chunk of the Bible was actually written as poetry. Books like Psalms and Proverbs use all those tools we just talked about, repetition, imagery, metaphor, to make these deep spiritual truths stick with you in a way that just plain prose never could. So really, the big idea is that poetry is more than just an art form. You can think of it as a conversation. It's a way to listen for and express those deeper feelings of wonder, of thanks, of worship, with words that are just as special as the feelings themselves. And that brings us to one last big idea, something about the connection between all this stuff we're learning and who we are on the inside. This is a pretty powerful question to sit with. We can learn to analyze poetry or science or anything, right? We can become experts. But if all that knowledge doesn't actually shape our character for the better, then what's it really for? And that's the contrast right here. On one side, you have knowledge without a moral compass, which can honestly lead to some pretty harmful choices. But on the other, when we direct our minds and our learning, towards what is good, what is true, well, that leads to peace and to choices that actually help people. And I think that's the perfect place to end. Whether it's studying poetry or anything else, it's not just about getting smarter. It's about engaging with things that give us life and peace. Thanks so much for joining me today.